All right, everybody, welcome to yet again another episode of the Step One podcast. This is episode 6, and I have such a special guest for every single one of you. And we are here to help you take your first step or your next steps in business and in life. And today, my lovely guest has 17 years of hands-on client service experience, management experience, negotiations, business planning experience. Now she's the CEO and founder of Innovation Title. Please welcome Yara Shamas.
Thank you, Henry.
Of course. I'm super excited to have you on. We're going to dive into your bio really quickly. And for everyone listening here today, I do have a couple rules and regulations and asks of you guys. Listen, knowledge without implementation is just the start of dilution. It's really just entertainment. So make sure you take a lot of notes today and make sure you take massive levels of action on it. Number 2, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, or anything like that, make sure that you are reaching out to everyone that you know and sharing this podcast with everyone that you do know. I would really appreciate it and get this podcast out there. And last but not least, again, if you have any questions or anything like that, wait till the end of the podcast. We'll make sure we get everybody in comment down below. And we'll make sure we'll get to those either at the end of the podcast or later on in this week. Let's dive into your bio. So Yara has came over in 2002 from Lebanon, and which her story is absolutely amazing. And I love, not only have we become really close friends, I really feel like we're family. So you came over in 2002, worked at an architecture office for a little while. Then you became a stay-at-home mom, and now you're this incredible entrepreneur powerhouse, which is just amazing. You also had an educational kids club where you taught kids on the different cultures in countries around the world. Got into Title around 2017, helped a company scale up from 300,000 to 1.5 million in under a year, and I guess you decided that you had to go do it for yourself at that point, and I love it.
Exactly.
I love it. And then you opened up Innovation Title in 2019. Everybody, please welcome Yara Shamas. Thank you so much for being on the show, my friend. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me, Henry. It's an honor to be here with you.
Yeah, we're going to have a lot of fun. So first and foremost, I want to dive into your story. Rewind the clocks for me. I want to know about you growing up. I want to know everything even before you came over and, what got you here today.
Okay, so I grew up in Lebanon, which is in the Middle East, in a very conserving family, very my parents, very old school. My mom was always pushing me to be the best, have the best grades. If I came home with less than an A, it was a huge problem. And honestly, I thank her for that because she pushed me so much and got me to always be this overachiever, always aiming to be the best. And that kind of planned the path for me in life. And I thank her for all of that. So I grew up, a normal country. I maybe kind of third world country, a little bit different than the States, right? So where you don't have electricity 24/7 and nothing is there for you. So different for growing up in Lebanon is a little bit different. You have to adjust to things and nothing is kind of there waiting for you to happen. I finished high school there, went to the Lebanese American University in Beirut, and everything I learned throughout my school year in college really did not help me in life, I have to say. And yes, I wanted my kids to go to college, but I really don't think learn much except having fun and learning, making friends, right? So I moved here in 2002 and started working as an interior architect in the city, and it was a great exposure for me to different lifestyle and different kind of work environment. But I always had in me the drive I wanted to get somewhere. And I was married when I moved here, and I had kids, and kind of decided it was time to take off and focus on my kids. And then 11 years later, I got divorced and found myself in a situation where I have to figure out what I'm gonna do. And first I had the kids party place that I wanted to open. It was great because my kids were younger and it was fun for them and good to be with them. And then I realized it's not exactly what I wanted to be. It was a very good experience. I learned a lot from it. It was a very expensive one. I lost a lot of money, not money that I had. So it put me in a really not great place where I was in kind of debt, a huge debt, and I had to figure out what to do. I don't have any family here. All my family's back home in Lebanon, so it was just me and my daughters. And sometimes things have to happen to you in life to trigger what you're going to do, right? Because sometimes you're in a comfort zone. Sometimes the zone you're in is whatever, it's okay. You're fine. You're just making it. But sometimes when you have the right motivation with the right emotions, that's what the trigger happens. And I realized it's just me and I had to figure it out on my own. So it was hard for me to decide to give up on my project that was a small baby for me, and I had to take a full-time job, right? And I knew nothing about title, never worked in it in my life, had no experience in real estate, didn't even live in this country. So I didn't really know like basically the streets and the zip codes and all of these things. Meanwhile, to know like, what real estate is. And I just dived into it. And I remember it was the July of 2017 where I took a title class. It was like a foreign language for me, even though I love languages, but this one was really, really hard one. And I just, learned all about it. And I started cold calling on clients. And I remember it was super hot. I would just knock on doors, agents and attorneys. And that's how I met you. I remember I would call on Henry every Tuesday morning at 7 a.m. with a bag of bagels and just hang out with him and his team. And it was great to learn a lot from everyone that I met throughout this journey. And I just kept persisting. And, I had a lot of drive in me to do it for me and my kids. And I was not going to say failure is not going to happen again, because I did fail the first time, and you only succeed if you fail. There's no way you're going to succeed if you don't fail. So it's okay to fail. It's okay to learn from your mistakes. You will learn so much through life, more than the books. But I do read a lot. And that helps me in my business. And I got into this industry by accident, because I knew the owner of one of the title companies. But I hustled. The first 6 months were crazy. I was only on 3 hours of sleep every day, just trying to figure out how to be different, how to bring more value to my clients. And I think we discussed this a lot. What makes you a different agent? What makes you so special to bring value to your clients? So I worked on that for a while until I figured out my own way, and how to get more clients. And that kind of got me on a different level of every single other title agent over there, because I brought a lot of more value to help brainstorm, to help expand the business of my clients, just come up with different ideas, and always to be different. And I love when my clients succeed, and that makes me happy. That's my success, when I see them having that difference from other agents and standing out there. And then like you mentioned, I after working for the first company for a while, I was approached by another title company, because apparently I took a lot of their clients not knowing they were their clients, right? Because I wouldn't know. I just was collecting agents from all my hard work. And then I was offered a crazy job, for that company. I was like, no, you're a small company. I'm not going to do that. But then I realized, honestly, it's not about the company. It's not about where you are. It's not the company you're in. It's about you. Whatever you do in life, you're selling yourself. It's what's your capability or what value you bring in. So I took a leap of faith, and I switched from this big company that I was in with benefits and everything to this small mom and pop shop. And it took me 1 year to grow the sales of the company. And I realized, okay, I don't need the mom and pop. I don't need the company. I don't need anyone. I just need me and my hard work and my drive and my motivation. And that's what I keep doing every day. And within I think it was 2 years before I was in that company, I decided to part ways with the owner, and I opened Innovation Title. It's going to be almost 2 years now. And we grow the sales of the company. I grow my team from 3 people. I have 15 right now. We're women owned and operated, and I take pride in that. I love my team. They're amazing, and I would be nothing without my team. So I thank them for all their hard work. And I think you met most of my team in my tiny office. So yeah, that's it.
Wow.
So
So understood. So I mean, I want to dive into that. I mean, there's so much to unpack. I definitely want to make sure we dive into this. So first off, how old were you when you came over to the U.S.
to the States? I was 23 years old when I came to the States. Yes.
Okay, so 23. You had already gone to college?
Yes.
Okay. And did you go to college knowing what you wanted to do, or any idea of that? Or?
I went to college because I wanted to be an interior architect. I love art. And then, I mean, I bring help to my clients with that, right? Designing homes and stuff like that.
Sure.
But I just what I wanted to do, but it has nothing to do with what I do today.
Gotcha. And that's what kind of led you into that architectural world at the very beginning, which I know we've talked about, because I'm sure it kind of helped a little bit.
It did help a lot, with clients and builders, and
Sure.
reading the floor plans, and help put all the specs on the floor plan. So that helped a lot.
I love that. So, okay. So then when you came over, you said you had kids already. Was being an entrepreneur anything you ever thought of doing at the beginning at all? Having your own business or anything like that?
Having a kid, all my focus was on my kids. I never thought, I always wanted to be a mom and have like, my playtime with my kids and take them to play dates and go shopping. And I never thought like in a million year, like this is what I would be doing. But now I look back and I'm like, what was I thinking? Like I missed out on so much.
Well, because I feel like there's so many women out there who want to start their dreams, right? Like I even look at my parents, and I feel like they made so many sacrifices for me and my sister, and I feel like they never went for it.
Right.
Right. And I feel like that's just something that I try to push people to realize, like, life is so freaking short. And what's the worst thing that's going to happen by going for it?
Right.
I'd rather just not have that regret
I agree.
than going for that.
Yes. No, I agree 100%. Like, I mean, I was lucky to spend like at least like 10, 11 years with my kids. And yes, I was forced to do that, but I think it's the best thing that happened to me. And it's a great role model for them to see what one can accomplish. Just don't have to be stuck in a role of something just because that's how life is, or that's what you're supposed to do.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's like, if you have that dream, if you have that idea, if you have that business or whatever the case may be, go for it. And I think that there's a lot of people who like, like they almost like blame their kids saying that it's because of them that I can't go do this.
Yeah, I think that's
right.
an excuse.
I agree.
Yeah, you
saying,
keep telling yourself the story, right? Tony Robbins. You can't keep telling yourself the same story over and over again. So you just have to you have to paint the worst case scenario. What would happen? And then that's it.
Yeah, because most of the time, or it's not going to be that case. I mean, like most of the time it's going to work out to some extent.
Yes.
I mean, it might not be the 100% golden idea of what you had in mind. It might be a little bit different, but it's not going to be the worst case scenario.
I mean, we're not saying just follow any ideas and go for it. I mean, everything has to be calculated, but you can achieve anything you want. It's just like you have to be consistent and persistent. Like those are the two things, and have a clear idea of what is it that you want.
I love that.
And where do you want to be? Like,
I love that.
Your motivation is the most important thing.
Yeah. And so question for you. And I know you it's funny because I feel like you fell into title how I fell into real estate, which is kind of like we just happened to know somebody who kind of gave us the idea, right? So when you got into title, I'm curious just why title out of everything. I know you knew somebody, but I'm sure that because there's 1,000 different sales jobs that you could have gotten.
Right. Honestly, it just happened. I was just looking for a job. I was at a point where I have to cut my losses and figure out I need a steady income until I figure out what I'm doing. And honestly, at that point, I was thinking of it as a transition. But I realized it doesn't matter what you do. If you put all your work into it, it's going to succeed, right? Yeah. So whatever it is, I just looked around my friends and I said, okay, I need a job. Okay. I need a 9-to-5 job. And I called all my friends, submitted my resume, and I just got the first interview I got. It was good. And then they hired me. Of course, because of my background and my graphic design and architecture, that helped because clients would appreciate that and they wanted help and opinion with their builders. So that was a plus.
Sure.
But I guess I just looked for what's the first available opportunity that was there.
Gotcha. So then, because again, that's similar to me. I kind of fell into this business, not having no idea what the heck I was in store for. So in your first year in your sales position, because that's what you did first, you did sales?
Right.
So in your first year, tell me about it. Did it suck? Did you break records?
So the first year, honestly, the first 3 months were so hard, but that's like anything in life, right? But the people sometimes give up and people try jobs for 3 months. That's not for me. You can't do that.
Sure. Because
you have to keep doing what you're doing. You have to be consistent. Change is not going to happen overnight. If you put an ice cube on the table and you wait for it, right? Gradually, it's 1 degree at a time that the room temperature is changing. And at that 1 degree shift, it's going to start melting. So you can't just say, okay, I've been trying, it's not working, I'm going to give up. No, it will happen. You just have to put enough into it. So the first 3 months were hard. The first 6 months were crazy. So I'll tell you a quick story. I had one client that I called on for 6 months. I would go the same day, same time every week. And it's an attorney and she knows who she is. I'm not going to mention her name, but I would go to her office every week, knock on the door, say hello, drop off our stuff from the company, whatever it is, a flyer, information about title, stuff that she really doesn't need. But I was consistent. And one day she finally agreed to see me. And she was like, I have to give it to you. You're so consistent. I never give you the time of the day. You've been coming here for 6 months. And I said, you're a great attorney. I heard great things about you. I would love the opportunity to work for you. And guess what? She's my biggest client right now. It took me 6 months and I was I didn't give up. But again, like you have to have the drive in you. You have to have the motivation and the reasons.
Sure. No, I love that. And I think that so many people look at it like, well, it didn't happen today, then I'm just going to give up.
Can't.
Right. Or it didn't happen this week, I got to give up. Or this month, I did got to give up. I mean, the entrepreneurship is really, at its finest. It's just the grit
It
more
is.
than anything.
Yeah, and you have to maintain it. So once you reach that level, like I mentioned, I read a lot of books. So like one of them is like when the mighty falls. Like when a lot of big companies like fell at one point, they were amazing companies. So when you reach that level of like success and like you become known in the industry, you can't just like drop the ball. And the only way of you not dropping the ball, believe it or not, is you as an owner and entrepreneur, you have to be involved in every single thing. I'm not saying be like the worker, but you have to understand, you have to know every stage of your company, how to do it and why to do it and how to best do it. You cannot have people doing your job that you don't know how to do it, because then they can control your company and you won't control your company.
Makes sense.
So you have to be really, really involved and not give up.
Yeah, no, I think that's so empowering for people listening. So it's like if someone's just trying to get started in their sales job, right? And because there's 1,000 people a day, I feel like, who are getting their real estate license right now.
Right.
There's a ton of people getting into title right now. A ton of people getting into, insurance or financial advisory right now. I mean, what would you be telling them
To be honest, like you have to find a role model. That's very important. Like it's not like you're copying people, but people did something and it succeeded for them, it will work for you. You have to find someone who did great and you have to kind of like follow in their path, whatever it is that you're doing.
Agreed.
And I would say you need a lot of coaching. So it doesn't have to be one-on-one coaching. It could be you coach yourself by reading, by listening to podcasts like you do, but by reading anything, listening to motivational speakers. You need guidance to get somewhere and you need to keep getting that guidance. You can say, oh, I did a coaching session like today, or like I read this book today. No, it's a lifestyle. You need to keep investing in yourself. The same way if you want to work out at the gym, you want to look great. I mean, I see your workouts that you do, which is great, but you have to keep going. You can't just like, oh, I'm doing it today and I'm done. You keep going, keep working at it. Same thing, invest in yourself. You have to keep educating yourself. You have to keep learning what's new, keep knowing what's out there, because your competition is right around the corner. It's already 10 steps ahead of you. So how can you like drop the ball and not try to keep up?
Yeah. And I'm the biggest fan of saying that, like, I am my biggest competitor. Right. My potential is my competition. Right. And that's why, we talk about the person in the mirror is my biggest competition. I look at that, I look at the person every day in the mirror and I go like, I'm coming for you. Right. And I know that every single day that goes by, if I'm not moving it 1 degree, 1 inch, 1 millimeter, whatever that is, 1%, I feel like I'm losing. So every single day I keep realizing, like, no matter how successful or the money or the whatever in life, it's never enough, because I feel like, the biggest thing that people can look at is when you hit success, I feel like people go, I'm comfortable. Right? Making 100 grand a year, 200 grand a year, 500, a million, whatever it is. And you feel comfortable.
That's the most dangerous stage.
It really is. And I feel like the only way to really make sure you always stay uncomfortable is take your emotion out of it. It's not about you. It's not about us.
Right.
It's about the impact. It's about the people we'll inspire. It's about, the people that work with us in the journey. And it's like, think about our kids, our grandkids, everybody else. Like, it might be enough for you, but it's not enough to take care of your family, your friends, your community. Like, take us out of it.
Yes, absolutely. Like your team, I feel like my team counts on me so much. And then sometimes when like every business, you have good days, you have bad days, but I feel like, I have like all this team counting on us being successful as a team.
Yep.
So if you drop the ball because like you're comfortable or like maybe that's enough for me, I don't need more. It's not about you. Like you said, exactly.
Sure.
You have your team is your family.
They really is.
Right? They are. So we have to look out for them, because like it's the best thing when you're able to help the people who are your team and you don't have to worry about it. That's the best feeling. We're like, okay, I'm here for you. Whatever you guys need, we're doing this as a team together.
I love that. And so I am curious to get your opinion, because I know that you and I kind of had a very, very similar story in the sense of our progress in business. I worked for somebody else. I started my own team. What were some things when you made that transition from salesperson, top salesperson, to now having your own company? Because it's a very different role.
Yes.
Right. What were some things that maybe you didn't expect that ended up, happening, or, things that you did expect that went differently? I'm just curious to get like a perspective on that shift.
So the most important thing that I found really that I did not expect at all is how much involved I had to be, right? So when you work for another company, there's a lot of the liability and responsibility is not on you. right? So you're doing your job, you're getting your sales, and the back office, all the noise in the back, it's not on you. And whatever happens, happens, right? It's someone else's liability and responsibility. When it's your own company, it's different. Like you can't just delegate. Okay. Like you have to be involved. I'm not saying like micromanage everything, but you have to know what's happening in your kitchen. Like you have to know. And if you don't, it's just going to lead to failure. Like you're just going to like fall. That's it. So that was a big shift in my life, going from like being like a salesperson with a flexible schedule, like made my own hours, to now like I want to make sure like every day all the transactions are like 100%. I mean, at the end of the day, we're both like, you know, dealing with people's most valuable assets in life, right? Like their purchases. So you have to take that more than just seriously. You have to pay more attention. Like this life, it's people's lives in your hands. So being the owner of a company that deals with all that amount of money for people's money, you have to be very responsible and you have to be on top of things. When I was a sales rep, it was different. So that's part one of like how you care more because it's your company and it's your responsibility. Another thing is like you have responsibility of your team, that you have to train your team because you need the best team, you need the best performance, and you are your team. That's it. Your team does not perform, that means you're not performing, and that's how you're going to lose clients. When someone drops the ball, that's what happens. So that's the hard part. If like to maintain your team training, to maintain them all at your standards that you believe in, that's how you want to represent yourself as a company. Because it's no longer just you doing your thing, like a meeting with a client. Now it's your whole company. So any person in your team is representing you. That's your image and you have to maintain it. But those are the two things that are like very hard to deal with.
Yeah, I love that a lot. So then you said your company's women owned and
Yes.
operated.
Yes.
So you have 100% of your staff is women?
We have only one male person, but like 99%, I would say we're all like all women.
No, because
Yes.
I love that, and I think it's so empowering to see. And so when it comes to hiring, I am curious. Like, are you like, and not even just for women versus men? I'm saying like, do you see that it makes? I'm trying to think of the best way to say this. Like, are you looking for more people that maybe have more of an immigrant background? Are you looking for more people that, I'm just saying more of a personality wise. I'm obviously not saying the individual,
Right.
but I'm saying, because I know you've hired a lot of people. I've hired a lot of people. We've, you know, it's just such an interesting dynamic when we have a ton of applicants. And I feel like we always have this, you know, that gut feeling on some of these people.
Right.
Right. So when you're hiring, is it something where like you want to keep this mantra of keeping it more women operated, or, you know, immigrant backgrounds,
I
stuff like
mean,
that?
it's not necessarily. I mean, I like to have more women in the office just because we get along better and it's more fun when
Sure.
like there's less men around.
I love
but
it.
it's just like it's easier to talk and it's
Sure.
easier to make fun, like make jokes, you know.
I love
What
it.
I really look for, honestly, I mean, I would love to have like a title background for the people that I hire, but I really don't care as long as you have good work ethics. Like if you tell me right now I have someone who is a hard worker, doesn't speak that much English, but would do anything for an opportunity, I don't have a problem because I take chances on these people. Like people who want to work hard, right? Like unfortunately, a lot of people right now, they apply for a job and they kind of like, you know, they're doing you a favor because they're applying for a job. I don't know what's happening right now, but that's all the like, you know, candidates that we're getting are not very impressive. And,
Sure.
you know, anyone with like a good work ethic background, that's what I go for. Yes, I do prefer them to be a woman. If they speak a different language, that's awesome because we have a lot of different clients. So we have actually Russian speaking closers, Spanish speaking closers, French speaking closers,
Do you
Arabic
feel like
speaking
that
closers.
helps a lot?
It does help a lot, especially like, you know, with our attorneys. They love when we have like processors who can help with their clients because not every attorney has translators, right? They don't want
Sure.
to like, yeah. And if you speak like different languages, you're just like more used to multitasking. And I love people who can multitask.
Yeah.
It's hard for people to
Well, that's
find.
our
Yeah.
industry.
Yes, you
There's
have to.
so many moving pieces all at the same
Yes.
time. Yeah, I love that. So then so I'm curious, right? I feel like because of your background and being an immigrant and all this, do you feel like that's given you a leg up? Because a lot of people look at it as a detriment, and I feel like there's such an empowering
It is.
factor, you know, having that as your background.
100%. I'll tell you why. Like, as I said, like my mom always pushed me to be the best, but that's my mom. But being from a different country and like coming here to all like unfamiliar territory and unfamiliar, like I do have an accent, obviously you can hear it. So every time I get asked where you're from, right? So, you feel like you always kind of have to like prove yourself a little bit more. So it kind of like gives you a more of a push. I got very comfortable like fast, I mean, I'm lucky that like my English is not that bad in terms of an accent. So I get a lot like, where you're from, like, are you Russian? Are you Spanish? Are you like, different suggestions. But I definitely feel like growing in a different country, being exposed to less comfort environment, like, we have everything, we take everything for granted over here, right? Like, I mean, it's such a great country that you have everything. You have electricity 24/7. You do not have that in a lot of countries. You have water 24/7. You have hot water 24/7. So it's not the case in a lot of countries. So any immigrant who comes to the country always feel that, like, it's a great opportunity for them, like, take advantage of what you can achieve, because you don't have those opportunities back home. You don't have, like, you can't start from scratch in different countries and make it only by your hard work. You need to know someone who knows someone who's going to do you a favor. But which is great here, like, you work hard, you're going to get, like, the results that you need, and it's going to get you where you want to be.
Sure. And I feel like so many people, I mean, like, again, like, I want to just express to you, like, how amazing it is to see your story, how much it has been progressing. I don't know if you give yourself enough credit.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Like, seriously, I'm just saying, like, there's just so many people who would have taken everything you've been through and blamed all of it and used that as an excuse as to why they couldn't be sitting in this chair right now,
Right. I mean, again, I say, like, motivation, like the one trigger in your life, and it's the reason, like, it's always finding the why, not the how, right? Like, why am I doing this?
Sure.
Like, why are you doing this every day?
Yeah.
Right. So if anybody can find the why in them, they'll get there. And you just have to know what you want. You have to work hard for it. You have to want it so bad. Like, it's how bad do you want this? And you have to project your life, look ahead of you. Like, where will you be if you keep doing what you're doing today?
Yeah.
Right.
I feel that. So I want to get into rapid fire questions for you, which is, these are questions that I ask every single one of my guests on the show. And I feel like I can't wait to hear your answers.
Okay.
All right. So the first one is, if you had to restart from dead zero today, you had no money, no connections, no nothing, no company, anything, no staff, what would be your first 3 moves in order to rebuild it all, or first 3 steps?
Same industry?
You can be anything, just period.
I'll definitely get a lot of more coaching, and I'll shadow someone in the same industry for a while before I jump into it. Definitely.
Love it. So to restart, because I want to make sure everyone hears this, right? I think that coaching is a huge one, and I feel like so many people undervalue how much that can be impactful in your success and career, no matter what that is. So I think that's empowering. Have you done any coaching, by the way?
Yes. So, I mean, I have a personal coach, and I also did business mastery with Tony Robbins, which was amazing. And I literally, when I came back, I fired half my staff. So you learn a new thing every day. So you have to learn from someone who knows what they're doing, right? Like, you have to, they've done it. It's proven, it's working.
Sure.
So why not? Right. So, but definitely like shadowing someone in the same industry who's successful. You don't have to physically shadow them. Just like, you can follow in their steps and see why they became successful.
Exactly. Like, there's so many people who have been successful before us, and they've left so many very obvious clues, and so many people just ignore it.
Exactly.
They try to do it all on their own.
And they do the same mistakes again.
Exactly.
And it's going to lead you to the same thing, you get the same results.
Exactly. I love that. I love that. Cool. All right. So then number 2, if today was your last day, okay, you had just this very moment to speak to your family, your kids, the people around you, your team, everybody, and give one piece of advice, what would it be?
Be happy. I would say, like, be happy. Like, look for what makes you happy, not what makes people happy. Like, you have to be happy with yourself and do what makes you happy. Don't do it for other people. Do it for you.
I love that. And I feel like when I really embodied that, my life changed forever.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I'm living my life for me. And I might upset people. I might frustrate people. I might make people angry. I might make other people happy. It does not matter, because I'm doing life for me.
You'll be at peace.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that so much. All right. So next one. If you were right now speaking to somebody who's struggling in sales or as an entrepreneur, things aren't going their way. Maybe they've been doing it a few years. Maybe they've been doing it a few months, but they're just struggling in every capacity. What's a little bit of advice you'd be giving them?
I would say definitely find someone who is doing the same, who's in the same field as you, and see what are you doing that does not match their footprints. So it's okay to cheat. Like you're cheating, you're not stealing their business. You're copying what worked and what got them to where they are. So you have to get help.
Yeah.
Like you can't get anywhere in life like by yourself. Like you can be so smart, you can be so educated, but the experience is not something that you have. You have to learn from someone else's experience. So the best help you can get yourself is use someone else's experience, learn from that, don't make the same mistakes, make the same steps that are going to get you to the level of success that you need.
I love that. Again, like ask for help.
Yeah.
Right? Don't be afraid to ask for help. I mean, like, there's so many people, like we said, who are out there already successful and they want to help you. Most successful people or top sales, I'm like, they're more than willing to help. I mean, like, you just got to ask for support, ask for help. I think that's so empowering. And I think that a lot of people forget as you progress, you have to keep asking for now different help from different people, and your circle needs to change. And those people and those coaches need to change.
Agreed.
Because I've had to level up my coaching every now and again, because I know that all of a sudden I start leveling up in the point where like now I'm where my coaches, and like they're not really going to help me to get to that next level.
That's so true. You have to always upgrade. Like I said, keep educating yourself because like you said, your competition is yourself,
Yes.
right? And you have to keep improving yourself. And you have to look around you and who you are surrounding yourself with, right? Like you want to be a lion, like you mentioned on your post.
Yeah.
You are who your peers are. If you're going to hang around with people who are not improving, who are lazy all day, who have no motivation and no drive, and they're just comfortable where they are, then guess what? That's where you're going to end up being. So if you hang out with leaders, you hang out with people who are always like thriving for the best things in life, the best success, the best like positions in life, then you're going to be there. But if you are comfortable in your comfort zone, then don't complain.
Yeah. And, but again, it's up to you.
Yes.
Right.
Absolutely.
You need to get yourself out of your comfort zone.
Yes.
No one's pulling you out of it. Right. And those moments where you feel weird and uncomfortable and it's stretchy, like you have to lean into it. Because again, like the growth only happens outside of that comfort zone.
Yes. And you can't just say, oh, like, I'm going to wait because like, something's going to happen. Oh, when is this going to end? Like, it doesn't work like that. It's you decide when this is going to end. You decide when this shift is going to happen. Yep. You decide when you're going to get yourself out of that situation.
I am so obsessive of right now, like do it right now, like especially for myself and for my team, because I don't believe why wait in anything. There's no reason why it should happen tomorrow or next week or next month. Especially if it has a great impact on my future, like meeting new people. Like it's like as silly as that sounds, if you're not adding to your network every single week, I'm dying. I feel like I'm slowly moving in the wrong direction, and I've become obsessive. Like it has to be done right now. I need it to move forward right now.
No, absolutely. Like I have to say, one of the biggest things that helped me succeed is my network. Like I went to every single networking event, regardless. I was jumping from one networking event to another one. And even during COVID, like there was not one Zoom call that I wasn't jumping on. Yeah. And your network is very important. Like connecting people is the most important thing. And like, even within our industry, it helps a lot if you know the agent on the other side of a deal. How much did that help you, right? It helps a lot if you know the attorney. So networking is very important, and your peers, your network, your connections are great help. So if like I'm friend with you and I have done that before where I called you, I'm like, Henry, what do you think about this? What do you think I should do? It doesn't hurt to call and ask for help. It doesn't make me less of a person. It's actually great if you're like asking great minds to help you out. And then if you have all this network of successful people, those are going to be, they're not going to be your besties, but they're going to be your help and guidance. And that's what's going to get you to the next level.
I love that. And I feel like so many people don't value it enough.
Great.
Right. And, it's funny how where our world, specifically the real estate world and each facet of it, it's such a small world.
It is.
It's such a small world. And like everybody knows everybody. And if, one thing that goes really right or really wrong, it can impact you. And that's why it's so imperative to have to just love on everyone in your network, love on everyone that you do business with. Every agent that I do another deal with, I'm going to do another deal with them one day.
Yeah.
So why burn the relationship?
Absolutely.
And not enough people give that enough credit. So I think that's powerful. So last one, What is one skill or habit that you feel like you are currently working on or that you have worked on in the past that's really been a game changer in your business?
In my business. Okay.
It could be in your
So
life too.
yes. Okay. So I'll give you one of each. So in my business, I feel like I'm always asking my team, because again, the most important thing is my team for me, right? I'm always trying to improve my team that 1% every day. It could be as silly as the chair. Like, are you comfortable in your chair today? Is your mouse pad good? Do you need a new keyboard? Is your computer too slow? So improving small things all around your industry. Okay, small things. Even the presentation folder that you do your paperwork in, the pens that you sign in, right? The lightings in the room. Improving 1% of everything. And I'm not going to take credit for this, but there's a great book. It's called Atomic Habits. And yeah, I don't know if you've read it or not, but it's an amazing book. And it's helped me a lot with a lot of things in my business. So improving 1% every day for small things around the business, whether like it's the phone service when people call and like how the phone is answered, when you put them on hold, what are the things that they listen to, the way you send your bills, the way you get your commission check. Do you get it in a nice envelope? Like small things, those small things, little things matters. I'm sure we heard this a lot of times.
Sure.
So that's small things in the business. And one major things in life that you have to keep doing every day is yourself. Improve yourself. So I do work out every morning at 5 a.m. and people think I'm crazy, and I know that you do as well, but that's part of like working on yourself. And you see it all the time on the post that like successful people wake up in the morning and do that. Yes, because it's like a peaceful time. No one's bugging me. No one's bothering me. I'm not having phone calls. I'm not having emails. I can focus on my readings. So read and work out every day. Very important.
I love it. That's a good for me. Like, honestly, like I learned a lot from that, by the way, just like the little things that is something that I need to focus a little bit more on. Because I'm very big picture visionary and I move really, really fast, but like all the little stuff I forget about. I know I've made a lot of changes on that aspect, but it's important to keep hearing this kind of stuff. And guys, when you're listening to this kind of content, and realize when you listen to anything or listen to a book or podcast, whatever, right? When you're listening to this stuff, I assure you that a lot of the same stuff's going to come up. And I know for a fact that look, success is not this secretive thing. There's so many different ways to get there, and there's so many different rules and principles and values and ideas and tips and tricks and whatever you want to call them. There's so many of them, but there's an underlying, like, call it principles. There's underlying principles that just work for everything. And I love with a lot of my guests, I learn probably more than most people listening because I'm really just taking mental notes of a lot of this stuff. So I appreciate that. But the work on yourself also has been so helpful for me in my life. Like I'm a 100% self-development. That was my education. It was almost zero regular education. I never paid attention in school. I barely passed high school. I didn't go to college. So everything that I am today and everything that I will be in the future is self-development. It's me going out and finding this information and soaking it in, reading all these books and going to events and being around people like you and learning, right? And constantly learning. And I think that's a really powerful thing that if you're not doing that right now if you're not reading, if you're not listening to podcasts, if you're not watching YouTube videos, if you're not taking notes or going to conferences, surrounding yourself with really empowering people, I think you're going backwards. So I love that. So last part, we're going to end up here. Just a couple last questions here. These are just from the live stream and from Zoom. So let's see. What was the hardest part about leaving your country and coming to America?
Being away from my family. That was the hard part. Like we take it for granted when our family's around us. And I know like my friends complain about, my mom is so annoying. I'm like, yeah, I wish my mom is here to annoy me, but she's not. So like being away from my family is so hard. Family support is amazing. If you have that, just take advantage of it.
Wow. I love that so much because I still have both sets of my grandparents. I'm very grateful. And I basically, whenever I'm with them, I don't care about like the conversation. Like obviously I care about the conversations, but like they can say whatever they want to me, however hurtful, however anything. I just am so unreasonably grateful that they're in my life. And I take it with a grain of salt, and I just would rather them be there and share their opinions and whatever's going through their head with me, and then, than not. So I love that a lot. Do you make sure you spend do you call them every now and again or whatever?
Okay, I FaceTime my mom every day. You can laugh at me.
I love it.
But I FaceTime my mom every day, and actually she gets worried if she doesn't hear from me. I FaceTime my dad maybe once a week. he also like gets upset if I don't like, and with the time difference between here and there, like, you know, I just make sure like at least they hear from me, and we're fine. Cause like parents worry, and I understand that more now because I have kids, and I used to think it annoying before I had kids. It's like, oh, come on, I'm a grown woman now, leave me alone. But honestly now, like I'm so blessed to have both my parents alive, and like, you know, hearing from them. I haven't seen them in a year and a half now because of COVID, which is annoying. But hopefully, like, I'm gonna go visit soon.
I love that. So actually real quick, because I want to get your opinion on this, right? So being an entrepreneur mom, and obviously I met your kids and they're amazing.
Yes. Thank you.
I'm curious, just for my future self, what are some things that you maybe have worked on or you see that really work? Because it's a different life being an entrepreneur,
Yes.
right? And be, you know, it's a different responsibility, and you're not there every single second with your kids. What are some things that maybe, again, like, you know, something you could be telling, you know, all the moms out there,
Right.
you know, to be, you know, a little bit
So
better?
it's a very emotional question for me, because like I have two teenage girls that you met, right? And right now with COVID and everything happened, it's so hard for teenagers. Um, I mean, so I started being an entrepreneur at 35 years old, right? So, no, actually, I'm sorry, 47. Yeah. So I started like this, I started this time of my life at 47 in title industry. And I started my own company, obviously 2 years ago. So I built this very late in my life compared to people who start ahead. So like, I'm going to be 43. My kids are teenagers right now. So this is the time that they need me the most. So if I see to the moms who have younger kids, get a nanny. Your kids are going to be fine. It's not a problem. Until they're 10 years old, they really don't need you. They just need like someone to feed them, someone to take them, run them places, take them everywhere. But when they're teenagers, they're going to need mom to be there and listen to them and give them advice. So I struggle with that a lot because I have my kids at home and I have my baby company that I'm trying to build. And it's so hard to leave the office and run home. So it's been tough for me. But my advice, if you want to build your empire, try to build it when your kids are like around 10. And if you can't, get them involved. Both my daughters are now working with me. So this way I can see them physically in my office. They don't like to work directly with me because mom is annoying and like she might yell if she doesn't like things. So they work with like, you know, whether with Marissa or with Candace, and they like it. And I don't want them to be like as involved because I want it to be fun for them. They're 15 and 17, but you can find a balance where you're going to like shove them in the mix somehow and get to see them and get to like enjoy your time with them. And right now with COVID, it's not like there's much we can do around, but we try as much as I can to spend time with them.
I love that so much. Yeah, that's so cool. And I think that, look, I'm a huge advocate of mental health, and I know that there's a lot of people struggling with that, especially teenagers.
Yes.
And a lot of them, I coach a lot of them, you know, and I get a lot of phone calls all the time, and it's hard, you know, and I think a lot of us just forget that we're freaking human.
Yeah.
You know, we're not superheroes, you know,
Oh.
we might act like it in our businesses, right? And but people might look up to us like that, but we're human. And we're allowed to feel, and we're allowed to have these emotions,
Yes.
and we're allowed to go through them and experience them. And I feel like it's just a lot of, you know, again, for a lot of the kids who might be watching, it's like, take a deep breath. You're ungodly young. There's so many more experiences to come and so many beautiful moments to come. And if you just become so dialed into what's occurring right now in your current situation, it's hard to realize that, like, you know, you're looking at almost like a penny. You're almost looking at like a, you know, your life through a keyhole, such a small little piece of life that might not be going in the best direction right now. But if you take a second and open the door, like, there is so much beauty in life. And I struggled with that. I used to look at my life through a keyhole and go, wow, this sucks. Like, if you looked at just this little keyhole, it was darkness. It was terrible. All these things were going wrong. But when I opened the door, there was so much light and beauty in my life. And until I realized that, wait a second, I'm in control of that, and I need to look at life at a little bit longer term than right in this very moment, that's what really changed for me. So take a second and just think about that, especially when you're spending time with your kids, because I know, like, I have a lot of friends and family that are going through that, and I think that's really important. Next question. As a female leader, what has been like the most significant barrier or challenge in your life?
Okay, so there's a couple that I could think of, but the most barrier. So, I mean, you know how our industry is like, right? And sometimes being in the same room in a meeting with a bunch of I mean, same industry people, but bunch of like males in the room. So I proudly say like I earned the business of a lot of like my vendors that I work with. It's just like it makes it hard when like, you know, like let's say you want to partner with a vendor and like he's your best friend, or like it doesn't mess around, like it's just a buddy guy, right? And I come into the room and like I'm proposing the same thing. It's a little bit in this industry, it's a little bit like, okay, you know. So that was part that was like a little bit annoying, but I think the value that innovation brings in and what I bring in kind of like helped me a lot. So I took a lot of clients from other like male title companies that I kind of like, okay, I did it. And also like some people, unfortunately, uneducated, not necessarily uneducated with college degrees, uneducated with life and like morals, I'm gonna say, like when they see a female like leading a company, you know, and they don't look at it the same way, like because you're a female, like you're not as strong, you can be emotional. So that also, you know, can be like a little bit condescending. So I get to choose, luckily right now at this point, who I want to work with. And when I meet someone who's kind of like them, like, I really don't need you as a client because I'd rather work with someone who appreciates the value of the business I want to bring to the table than look at me as like a female.
Yeah.
And then also like having like all female employees, it's easier to talk to because sometimes some males might take it like, okay, you're a female and you're my boss and I'm not very like appreciative of you telling me what to do.
Have you had that happen to you?
I've had that happen, you know, and but then it was like, you know, it was like weird. We're like, okay, that's not part of my job, or like I'm not gonna do that. I'm like, okay, but that's in your contract. It's like I'm not trying to be a boss here. I'm just telling you what your duties are.
Sure.
So yeah, and then there's some old people too, like they can take it like that. Really old.
So this is a question. So I coach a lot of younger individuals.
Right.
You know, so women, a lot of them in their younger 20s. And I feel like one circumstance they have a lot is that being in real estate or in sales in general, men take it the wrong way when you're trying to prospect the guy, that they all of a sudden think that there's something else on the table than other than sales.
Absolutely.
So please, I really would love to get your opinion and share with women out there today, because this is ridiculous. And I want them to know that like you can be super freaking successful and just in confident, live a beautiful life and not let that hold you back.
Yes, you should not let that hold you back. And you should be like, anybody who's going to look at you like that, you don't need their business. Like I have a rule. I have a team of like all our salespeople are women. So we don't have any male salesperson. My salespeople are not allowed to call on mortgage guys. Okay. I mean, this is going to sound like bad, but a lot of mortgage guys make inappropriate jokes or like, you know, think they're funny or think there's something else on the table if you're trying to get their business. No, we bring so much value from our company, from our office, from our experience in this industry, and from the help that we bring our clients. So I would just say, walk away from from those prospects. And guess what? Like you're going to be so successful, and then you're going to walk and you're going to be one day on a show here, or I'd be like, okay, do you remember like when you were trying to be a wise ... And
so don't be afraid.
Don't be afraid. Walk away. You don't need to put yourself in any situation. Walk away. You are who you are. Your pride and your integrity and your credibility is what's going to make you succeed. You should never give up anything to get anywhere.
I love that.
And someone who doesn't appreciate who you are, what you bring to the table as a professional, you don't need their business. Why do you even want to be in business with someone who has that narrow-minded thinking or that very low thinking?
I love that so much. Yeah. So I appreciate you sharing that. Thank you, because I feel like so many people need to hear that. All right, last little thing here. So to wrap up for everything that happened today, again, I'm so appreciative to be in business with you. I love you so much.
Thank you, Henry.
And having you here was awesome, and I learned a lot. So I'm curious. So last thing for all the listeners, I want to get your perspective on your future. What's next for Yara?
Okay, so what's next for Yara? Like I mentioned, I'm always striving to get myself to the next level, right? So we have a great clients right now. We have built our reputation. Our name is out there so people know who we are. But what's next for me is I want to build a company big enough where like every single person on my team right now is at the same comfort level that I am at this moment. That's my goal. And I of course, at some point, like I want to be able to, like everybody wants to retire, but I feel like retirement is not sitting and doing nothing, because I feel for people like us, you could never just sit and do nothing. You have to always be doing something. And like Tony Robbins always said, you have to find like passive income stuff that you'd be doing. So we discussed this, like I'm looking to do a couple of investments on the side, because real estate is a great investment, right?
Yep.
But in terms of innovation, my goal is to grow the company, like to be like on a state level, because right now we're in Monmouth County basically, and we are like branching out, and actually we're getting licensed in Florida, so that's the second step. So those are the two next steps, but the long-term goal is to build a company big enough where at some point I don't see my kids going into it, but I can have a plan where, like, if I decide to sell the company, my employees will be in there for like permanently, because that's my goal. My goal is to secure futures for all my team, because again, I would not be here without my team. And I cannot just like, okay, I'm at a comfort level and like, I'm going to do this for the next 15 years and cash out and like not think about everyone else. So the goal is to become like hopefully like at least like 4 or 5 states in the next like 5 years, and nationwide in the next 18 years. And then we'll revisit then.
I love it. I can't wait to see that. Well, look, Yara, thank you for being on the show, and for everyone listening
Thank you for
here.
having me.
Of course, this is amazing. Thank you for listening to episode 6 of the Step One podcast. We hope this episode gave you the ideas, the motivation, the strategies that you needed to take your first step or your next steps in business and in life. Thank you so much, everyone.